Picture this. The Punisher, arguably the most brutal, gun-toting, unapologetic guy in the entire Marvel universe, teaming up with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Oh, and they are somehow linked to a wildly powerful teenage psychic mutant. I know, it sounds completely insane. You're probably thinking, wait, the guy who uses heavy artillery to solve his problems is going to hang out with Peter Parker? But I promise you guys, it is happening. The brand new trailer for The Punisher One Last Kill just dropped, and it is an absolute R-rated TVMA bloodbath. We haven't seen Marvel get this dark and gritty on the street level since the glory days of the Netflix era. Ever since Deadpool and Wolverine broke the box office, Kevin Feige has finally realized that adults want adult Marvel content. He took the training wheels completely off. The Disney princesses have been locked out of the editing room, and Jon Bernthal is officially back in the Kevlar vest. But beneath all the broken glass, the brutal hand-to-hand combat, and the flying bullets, Marvel is quietly setting up the wildest crossover we have ever seen for Spider-Man: Brand New Day. To understand how Frank Castle goes from surviving a dingy, burning apartment block to hanging out with Spider-Man and the X-Men, we have to break down exactly what is hiding in the shadows of this new trailer. We're talking secret villains, massive comic book Easter eggs, and a timeline shift that changes everything. Let's get into it. First things first, where exactly does this fit in the massive, sometimes confusing Marvel timeline? Marvel is treating this as a special presentation. If you remember Werewolf by Night or the Guardians Holiday Special, it's like that. It's a tight hour-long mini-movie. No filler, no stretched-out episodes, just 60 minutes of pure, uninterrupted adrenaline. This special takes place exactly 1 week after the crazy finale of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Let's do a quick memory refresh for anyone who missed it. At the end of Born Again Season 1, Frank took on those super corrupt Punisher cops, basically a bunch of bad guys stealing his logo to do terrible things. He took them down hard, but ended up getting thrown into Kingpin's secret, illegal, off-the-books prison. By the time Season 2 wrapped up, Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson busted down the doors and freed everyone inside. So where is Frank now? Well, he's a ghost. The government thinks he's gone, the mob thinks he's gone, and he is completely off the grid. And honestly, looking at this trailer brings up my absolute favorite, hilarious unwritten rule of the MCU street-level heroes: the crappy real estate rule. Seriously, have you guys noticed this? Every single time a Marvel street hero goes through a major life event, their apartment gets significantly worse. Matt Murdock went from a massive, beautiful brick wall loft in Hell's Kitchen to literally sleeping on a tiny cot in a dusty church basement. Jessica Jones can never keep a front door on its hinges. And now, Frank is keeping the tradition alive. His new hideout is essentially a closet. We're talking peeling paint, instant coffee, and a vibe that probably smells like old combat boots and deep regret. It's way out in a totally different, neglected borough from where Daredevil usually operates. But hey, rent in New York is crazy these days, even for vigilantes, right? But the bad apartment is honestly the least of Frank's worries right now. The trailer opens with this awesome blinking camera shot, like an eye adjusting to the dark inside Frank's room. And when Frank looks out his peephole, New York City has completely lost its mind. We are talking total, absolute anarchy. It looks like the Purge out there. Cop cars are on fire, lighting up the streets with this harsh orange glow. Thugs are just kicking down doors in broad daylight, dragging innocent people out. There are no police anywhere. Sirens are wailing in the distance, but nobody is coming to help. Why? Because of the massive power vacuum. Kingpin's iron grip on the city is gone. The corrupt task forces have been dismantled. When Wilson Fisk was in charge, the criminal underworld was evil, but it was organized. Now, it is like a bunch of starving dogs fighting over a single piece of steak, and the city is bleeding out because of it. The city desperately needs a monster to fight the monsters, and Frank is tracking the biggest one out there. If you look really closely at Frank's messy string board, the one with all the red yarn and blurry photos, you catch a split-second shot of an older woman in a luxury car, wearing a giant cross necklace, with actual blood spattered across her face. Guys, that is Gnucci. If you haven't read the comics, let me paint a picture for you. Just imagine the scariest, meanest, most stubborn grandmother you have ever met in your entire life, and then give her a violent mob empire and zero morals. She is a legendary villain from Garth Ennis's famous Welcome Back Frank comics. In the comics, Frank actually feeds her to a polar bear at the zoo, which, okay, the MCU probably won't go that crazy, but she survives it. That's how tough she is. The Gnucci family is trying to take over Kingpin's empty throne, and they are doing it through pure terror. And Frank is basically looking at this hostile takeover and saying, yeah, no thanks, I'm going to cancel that subscription permanently. But Frank isn't just fighting the mob in this special, he's fighting his own mind. Jon Bernthal is actually an executive producer on this project, which is a massive deal. It means he has the power behind the scenes to keep the character authentic and emotionally deep. He's not just going to be a mindless action figure shooting guns. And man, the mental weight in this trailer is incredibly heavy. This is basically a psychological horror movie dressed up as a superhero show. Throughout the opening sequence, we hear the voice of Curtis Hoyle, Frank's old Marine buddy, his therapy group leader, and really his only moral compass. Curtis asks this chilling question: you think God's gonna forgive us for the things we've done? I'm not sure about me, but you ain't got a chance. We see Frank talking to Curtis at the graveyard later on, but a lot of the early trailer is Frank straight up hallucinating. His PTSD is in overdrive. He sees his dead Marine squad standing silently in his room. He imagines gasoline pouring under his door, threatening to burn him alive in his sleep. And worst of all, he hears his murdered daughter calling out for him. It's absolutely heartbreaking to watch. And just a quick fun fact for you deep lore nerds out there. When Curtis talks about God, it's really interesting in the context of the MCU. We live in a Marvel universe with small gods like Thor and Loki walking around, and literal aliens falling from the sky. But there is also an ultimate creator of the multiverse in the comics, called the One Above All. Now I highly doubt this gritty street-level show is going to get into cosmic multiverse gods, but it perfectly frames Frank's mindset. He feels completely abandoned by the universe. He already believes his soul is damned, so in his head, he has nothing left to lose. If he's already going to hell, he might as well do the devil's work on Earth and clean up the streets so innocent people don't have to suffer. Which brings us to the coolest, most hype part of the trailer: the evolution of the skull. Frank doesn't just walk out of his closet wearing his shiny superhero suit. He has to earn it back. He starts this special in regular, dirty street clothes. He's using his bare hands, he's stealing weapons from the bad guys as he fights them, and he's using the environment, like smashing a guy into a diner counter. There's even a brief clip of him saving a little girl in his building, which clearly triggers memories of his own lost daughter. It's raw, it's messy, and it feels like a real bar fight. But then, we hit the boiling point. The final act of the trailer. We finally see him pull out the heavy black tactical gear, and he spray paints that iconic, terrifying white skull across his chest. But here is the massive blink and you miss it detail. That is the exact same tactical suit, down to the strap placements, that we have seen in the leaked promo art for Spider-Man Brand New Day. This brings us all the way back to the crazy question I asked at the beginning of the video. The title of this special is One Last Kill. It heavily implies that Frank wants to finish this one final personal war with the Gnucci family, so he can finally put the guns down and stop. But guys, he doesn't stop. Because right after this, he gets pulled straight into Spider-Man's world. The industry rumors right now are pointing to Frank teaming up with, or maybe even protecting, Stranger Things star Sadie Sink's new character in the MCU. And all the leaks say she is playing the main timeline's version of Jean Grey, a young, super powerful, psychic mutant. Why in the world is the Punisher protecting a mutant teenager alongside Spider-Man? Think about the dynamic here. It gives off massive Logan vibes, right? The grumpy, violent old war vet protecting a superpowered kid. Think about what we just talked about, Frank hallucinating his daughter and saving that little girl in his building. Does Sadie Sink's character remind him of his kid? Are there anti-mutant hate groups filling the gap left by the corrupt cops, and Frank takes it personally? I am telling you guys right now, lock it in. This hour-long special is going to end with a post-credits scene that officially brings Frank Castle face-to-face with Peter Parker. Peter is probably going to try and stop Frank from killing people, while Frank is just trying to keep this mutant kid safe by any means necessary. It is going to be wild. And as a quick bonus for you hardcore street-level fans before we wrap up, if you caught the recent Daredevil episode drops, Kristen Ritter is officially back as Jessica Jones, and she has a young daughter now, probably Danielle Cage. Marvel is heavily laying down the bricks for a modern Heroes for Hire storyline in Daredevil Season 3. The street-level MCU has literally never been this deeply connected, and after years of waiting, we are finally eating good. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Are you ready for this R-rated bloodbath with Gnucci? And more importantly, how do you think a grounded, no-nonsense guy like Frank Castle is going to react to teaming up with a teenager who shoots webs and a mutant who reads minds? Is he going to lose his mind, or be the ultimate badass dad figure? Drop your wildest theories in the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because the second the next trailer drops, we are going frame by frame to connect the rest of these dots. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one.